start my orientation, I just want to know from everyone that you can see me, whether you can hear me. I'll just wait for 2-3 minutes and I will start the presentation, the orientation program. Okay, let's start today's orientation. Namaskar and very good evening to all. Today I am going to give you the orientation about the beautiful dance form Bharatnatyam. In the beginning, I would like to thank Snehalalit Kala Kendra and Snehal Karankar for giving me this opportunity to perform this lecture demonstration orientation. Bharatnatyam itself is a huge, it's an ocean of knowledge and one cannot restrict it within the time limit. But yes, in today's busy world, such programs, such orientation programs will definitely help the audience it gives the basic idea about a particular dance form to the audience, and even the common audience can enjoy a particular art form thoroughly. So for today's orientation program, I am going to give you the brief review of history of Bharatnatyam, about its aspects, its principles, and yes, the aharya, that is costumes and jewelry, which are used during Bharatnatyam performance. So I begin with the orientation program with the history of Bharatnatyam. Bharatnatyam is perhaps the oldest among the contemporary classical dance forms of India. Bharatnatyam is the combination of two words, Bharata and Natyam. In the word Bharata, Bha stands for Bhava, that is emotions, Ra, that is Raga, that is melody, and Ta, that is Tala, rhythm, and Natyam is dance. So the dance which combines Bhava, Raga, Tala is Bharatnatyam. It hails from Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu. It was performed in temples by Devadasis as a part of puja, seva, rituals in temples. So it was an art of Devadasis. Devadasi means servant of God. So initially, this art form was known as Dasiyattam. Dasi is a servant and Attam is dance. It is thus the Ekaharya or solo dance style. But nowadays, of course, you see many Bharatnatyam performances, they are performed in groups also. Since it is the art of Devadasis, most of the compositions are woman-oriented and they depict Madhura Bhakti. Madhura Bhakti is the conjugal love that dramatizes the husband-wife relationship. It is the uninterrupted exchange of love between the Jivatma and the Paramatma, subsequent to their union or self-realization, which is featured in Madhura Bhakti. Thus, Madhura Bhakti is not physical love, it is transcendental, it is beyond worldly experiences, it is beyond materialistic things. Mirabai's bhajans are the best examples of Madhura Bhakti. And the most important thing in Madhura Bhakti is that it is not pursued by women alone. Like you must have heard the bhajans or abhangas of Santa Jnaneshwar, Eknath Tukaram. So in many of their abhangas, they have assumed themselves or considered themselves as a woman who is totally in love with the God, who is yearning, pining to be one with him. So Madhura Bhakti is the devotion in the attitude of a woman. It is surrendering of one's ego without sticking to one's identity. Because at transcendental, whether you are male or female doesn't matter. So Madhura Bhakti is the base of Bharatanatyam, rather all the classical dance forms. Tanjavur, where this dance form was originated, was ruled by the dynasties Chola, Pandya and Maratha, also Nayaka. All these kings, they were the great art lovers and patrons. But as a Maharashtrian, I am very much proud to say that the reign of Maratha, that is Bhosle dynasty, was the heyday for Madhura, for the Carnatic Sangeet and Bharatanatyam. The present shape and form of Bharatanatyam was decided during 18th and 19th century. The credit goes to the four brothers, also known as Tanjavur Quartet, Chinnaya, Ponnaya, Vadivelu and Shivananda. They adorned the court of Maratha ruler King Sarfoji between 1798 to 1838. They were the disciples of the famous musician and saint poet, one of the Trinities, Shri Muthuswami Dikshita. This art of Devadasis was also known as Sadir. Originally a Marathi word Sadar. Sadar is to present. So this art was also known as Sadirattam. These Maratha kings, especially King Shahaji and King Sarfoji, they composed many songs for Bharatanatyam. And my guru, Dr. Srimati Sucheta Sapekar, she has her research on the compositions of King Shahaji, and her guru, late Acharya Parvati Kumar, he had his research on King Sarfoji. So of course we are very fortunate to learn Marathi compositions from Sucheta Dai. But with the invasion of British rule, the patronage stopped and this rich and vibrant art came to a halt through the Act of Madras Presidency, which banned the temple dancing altogether and looked down upon those who performed the same. But because of the constant efforts of Rukmini Devi Arundel, E. Krishna Iyer, Bala Saraswati, Kalyani daughters, this art form was revived. Rukmini Devi and E. Krishna Iyer were from Brahmin family. So people thought that if these from Brahmin family, they are learning this art and performing it, so why can't we? So they started sending their children to learn Bharatanatyam. Also Bala Saraswati made the art popular outside India. Thus, their endeavor has made us possible to learn the art of Bharatanatyam. Today, apart from presenting or dancing only mythological themes, many Bharatanatyam dancers are also experimenting non-mythological themes also. So, keeping the principles of the art form intact, if an artist tries to experiment something new, of course it will lead to the growth of the art form, rejuvenation of the art form. Sucheta Sapekar, Savita Shastri, Parimal Phadke, Parshvanath Upadhyay, then Leela Samson are some of the famous Bharatanatyam dancers. I want to mention that this art form, Bharatanatyam, is originally women-oriented, and in olden days only women, or rather Devadasis, used to perform this art. But of course nowadays even boys or men are also learning it. That's why I have mentioned the names of Parshvanath Upadhyay and Parimal Phadke. So this was the quick review of the history of Bharatanatyam. Now we will lead to the three main aspects of Bharatanatyam. The three main aspects are, the first one is Nritta. Nritta is pure dance. So it is performed without abhinay, and it is done in the accompaniment of music, lay and tal. The next aspect, second one, is Nritya. Nritya is pure dance, that is Nritta plus Abhinay. So Abhinay is performed along with Nritta. And the third important aspect is Natya. Natya is drama. Here in Natya, there is only Abhinay is performed, And one important thing I want to tell you is that in Bharatanatyam, rather in all the classical dance forms of India, speech is absent. So when a dancer performs abhinay, or whenever she is telling a story, she tells the meaning of a song through her body gestures, hand gestures, mudras, her eye movements. So of course it is quite challenging on her part to make the audience make the audience understand the meaning of a song, and also it is challenging from on the part of the audience to make that understand the meaning of a song. So these are the three main aspects in Bharatanatyam: Nritta, Nritya and Natya. Then the main 5 principles of Bharatanatyam. The first principle is Ayata, Ardhamandali or Aramandi. This is the square position of legs, and this is the basic stance of Bharatanatyam, in which all the dance movements are done, compositions are danced, even Adabhu, the basic movements. The dancer has to take a lot of efforts to maintain the stance, because it is not very easy as it seems, because the dancer has to maintain this throughout the performance. So even the balance on both the feet is also very important. So this deviation should not be there. The balance should be maintained in the middle. So Ayata is very important. And what are the Adabhus? Adabhus are the basic steps. Rather, these are the balanced and coordinated movements of hands and feet together. Rather, the balanced and coordinated movements of eyes, shoulders, wrist, whole body is involved in Adabhus. And these Adabhus, they form the base of Bharatanatyam, form the grammar of Bharatanatyam, without learning of which dancer cannot learn the other compositions. The second principle is Madhyama Kalam or middle tempo. Since there is whole body movement in Bharatanatyam, Madhyama Kalam is quite appropriate, even while rendering abhinaya, emotions, to make the audience understand about the meaning of a song. This Madhyama Kalam is quite apt. Then third principle is visual music. Dance is visual music. In the text, Abhinay Darpanam, which is referred by all the Bharatanatyam and Kathak dancers, it is said that Asyena or Angena alambayet geetam. Asyena is by mouth, that you have to sing the song, and Angena alambayet geetam, that is show the song through your body movements. And of course, the shoulders or the syllables, then musical notes, that means swaras, lyrics of a song, all these things are expressed through body movements. So this principle is quite apt for Bharatanatyam. Bharatanatyam is based on Carnatic or South Indian music. Then fourth principle is Rati, Vatsalya and Bhakti. Rati is Shrungar, that is love. Then Vatsalya is parental love, and Bhakti is devotion. These three elements, which are the shades of Shrungara, shades of love. So these three elements are depicted in the repertoire of Bharatanatyam. And the last but not the least, very important principle of Bharatanatyam is Margam. Now, while giving you the review about the history of Bharatanatyam, I mentioned that the 4 brothers, Chinnaya, Ponnaya, Vadivelu and Shivanandam, they formed the order of compositions to be performed in during Bharatanatyam performance. So this order of compositions, a particular order, specific order of compositions, is known as Marga. Marga is path, road, which leads to the rasa nishpatti, which leads to the full enjoyment, bliss of an art form. So the first composition in Margam is Alaripu. Alaru is to blossom. It is the invocatory composition, and the idea behind this composition is to acquaint the audience about the Tala system of Bharatanatyam. And since it is blossoming, Alaripu is the blossoming, it indicates the blossoming of performance also. And it is of Nritta, that is pure dance category. Second one is Jatiswaram. Here the notes or swaras are introduced. Of course, now you can relate the principle of visual music here. So the adabus are choreographed, the dance steps are choreographed as per the musical notes. And again, Jatiswaram is of Nritta category. So the idea behind Jatiswaram is to acquaint the audience about the swaras. Then third composition in the Margam is Shabdam. Shabda, as the word suggests, words. So here in Shabdam, Abhinay is introduced, which is deliberately elementary since it is introduction of Abhinay, and the dancer performs the role of a narrator or a storyteller. And yes, Shabdam is the combination of Nritta and Nritya. There is few patterns of Nritta which are to be performed in Shabdam. Now Shabdam is followed by Varnam. Varnam is the only composition in Bharatanatyam repertoire which goes till up to 30 to 45 minutes. It is very heavy one, and Abhinay is also very deep, and it is the perfect balance of Nritta and Nritya. Then after Varnam, 3-4 Padams are danced. Padam is the interpretive song, and of course it is of Natya category, where dancer has the scope to show her Abhinay skills. And yes, she uses the body language, the hand gestures, eye movements, shoulders, everything to express the meaning of the song. Then the second last composition is Tillana, the most energetic, scintillating composition in the repertoire of Bharatanatyam, and it is enjoyed by the audiences. And yes, adabus are presented at their best, and dancer has a lot of scope to choreograph, and it is like showering of flowers throughout the space. The last composition is Shilokam, peaceful one, tranquil one. Sometimes Shilokam is danced without tal, and instead of Shilokam, sometimes Mangal Pade or Mangal are also danced, which are the prayers by the dancer or a devotee to the Lord to let auspicious happen everywhere. So this is the traditional Margam from Alaripu, Jatiswaram, Nritta to Shabdam, Varnam, Nritta, Nritya, then Padam, Natya, then Tillana, again Nritta, and to the tranquility of Shilokam. So Margam it's not just the order of compositions like Alaripu, Jatiswaram. It doesn't tell the dancer that she has to perform according to this order only, but it is the principle which tells the dancer that she has to how she should maintain the crescendo of a performance, and how she should lead the audience to the rasa nishpatti, or to keep the audience alive. So this was the brief introduction about history of Bharatanatyam, then its art aspects, then principle. Now I will quickly tell you about the ahaya, that is costume, which is used in Bharatanatyam. So this is the stitched costume I'm wearing, and the sari is used for stitching, And during Devadasi's reign, you can say, these saris were draped like Maharashtrian Nawari sari. Not exactly Nawari, but yes, like Nawari, they used to wear it. But nowadays, this is the pant costume I'm wearing. Sometimes the half sari costume is also worn by the dancers. Now about the jewelry. Yes, the head is considered as heaven, and this bindi which I'm wearing, it defines the hairline, and the pendant, it falls on the top of the forehead. Then moon and sun, that is Chandra and Surya, they fall on the either side of the head. So dancer is considered as a heavenly beauty, heavenly dancer. Then the jhumkas I'm wearing. So this is the chain, matal. It protects the eardrums. Then necklaces. The shorter one is known as attakai and the longer one is malai. So they balance the breathing of a dancer. Then bracelets. Sometimes bangles are also worn. So they enhance. They in fact symbolize the prosperity. Right now I am not wearing the nose ring, but of course they give the style and grace to the dancer. Then this is the waist belt, kamar patta, which defines the waistline and also gives support to the spine. And very important, last but not the least, is ghungu, which are very important to show the tal of dance. And yes, dancer also puts arta on the. I'm not right now. I have not put on my hands. But yes, the tips of the hands are colored by arta so that the audience can follow the movements of a dancer. So this was the quick review of Aharya. Now I will give you the glimpse of the performance so that you can have the idea how the repertoire of Bharatanatyam goes on. So the first composition which I am going to perform is Kautukam. Kautukam is to praise. The devotee or the dancer praises the Lord and seeks his blessing to make her performance obstacle free. I am offering my prayers to Devi Saraswati, Lakshmi and Mahakali, who are the embodiments of knowledge, wealth and courage. I am presenting Chandatala Kautukam. Chandatalas are the rare forms of talas, and these were used in olden days in temples during normally in for the prayers of Murugan. And these are the combinations of 2 or more talas. They are not as per the rules of Suladi Saptatalas of Carnatic music. And the lyrics of each stanza of the Kautukam which I am going to present, they have a particular chanda or gate. So the name Chandatala. This composition is composed by Mrs. Smita Mahajan, who herself is an accomplished Bharatanatyam dancer, a musician, composer, lyricist and singer. So presenting Chandatala Devi Kautukam in Ragamala. So this was the glimpse of Nritta aspect, and yes, little bit of Abhinay was also there. Now the second composition which I am performing is Padam. Padam, I have already explained that it's an interpretive song. The Padam which I am presenting is about Devi Sita, who during her Swayamvar, she is standing in the balcony with all her friends, and there Lord Ram appears, and she looks at him and immediately falls for him, and she asks, "Who is this handsome man? Yaru ivar yaru?" But today I am presenting the Padam from the other way around, that is from the perspective of Ram, that Lord Ram has arrived for Swayamvar in Mithila Nagari with brother Lakshman, and yes, while wandering around Mithila Nagari, he has a look at Sita and he wonders and he asks himself, "Yaru ivar yaru? Who is she, beautiful lady? The one who has got beautiful lotus eyes. Do I know her name? No, I don't remember." In this Mithila Nagari, where everywhere there is prosperity, the king is brave and very rich, and the people are happy. In this Mithila Nagari, in the palace of women, who is she standing? He further wonders that her moon is just like, her face is just like moon. In fact, she is the moon herself. And yes, as the rays of moon make the lotus bloom, same way, my heart also blooms by looking at her. I must be having the relation with her in past, and that's why I am here and looking at her as if she is coming towards me and she is giving her hand to me and I am holding hers in mine. But really, Yaru ivar yaru? Who is she? Presenting Padam in Rag Bhairavi and Tal Adi. was the Padam, that Natya aspect. And then the last composition I am presenting is Tillana, the most energetic composition loved by the audiences. And normally, Tom, Nom, Nam, Nam, Dirdir, such auspicious, such words which sound like the auspicious sound of Om, they are the part of Tillana. But here I am presenting the Tillana, which is a different one because it has got lyrics in it. It is composed by King Swati Tirunal and it is in Ragam Dhanasari and Tal Adi. Presenting Tillana, the last composition. So this was the brief introduction of Bharatanatyam, about its history, aspects, principles, ahaya, and the performance. I hope that you must have the basics of Bharatanatyam, and I hope that next time, whenever you will go to watch another Bharatanatyam performance, you will definitely enjoy it. So, for us, for the artists, good audiences, knowledgeable audience is Rasikas are very important, because their criticisms, their comments, they make us perform better. So, of course, even if you are taking any of the dance forms like Kathakali, Kathak, Bharatanatyam, Odissi as a hobby, please pursue it sincerely, because like society needs doctors, engineers, financiers, same way. They need good artists and art lovers also. So, to this note, I conclude my orientation. Thank you very much for being patient. Thank you. Okay, so I am finishing my performance now.